You're listening to The Slavers, a Detective Westfield story by Stu Jones, narrated by the author. For Alexa, never stop fighting for the lost. Derrick Westfield raked a knuckle over the coarse salt and pepper stubble of his chin and worked a thin strip of tasteless gum between his molars. The mega combo burrito he shouldn't have eaten gurgled in his belly. He squinted at the unpleasant pinch of gas in his lower abdomen and put a hand to his stomach. "Told you not to eat that garbage," Detective Coley said from the passenger seat. Westfield grunted his assent. He watched a bum down the way rise off his bedroll and piss on the brick wall next to his bed. Life in the city was a dream for the young and idealistic. A land of promise and plenty, a place to prove your worth and chase big dreams. That's what most people thought. But the cops who worked those streets knew better. They knew the darkness, the rot that lay under every fresh coat of paint and in every apartment walk-up and back alley. For these fallen angels, good men and women doomed to patrol the squalid urban arteries and the Section 8 housing blocks. Long gone were the fantasies of youth and the promise of a fresh start. For them, city life was hell, and they were its keepers. Westfield cracked the window of the blacked-out, unmarked Ford Taurus and spat the gum through the gap. It landed in the street amidst a few soggy cigarette butts and a half-crumpled takeout wrapper. A whiff of rotting garbage and fresh urine seeped in through the crack. Westfield scowled and rolled it up. Corley glanced over from the passenger seat. Westfield sucked his teeth. The gum left a film that reminded him of a wool sweater. "Time to switch to sugar-free," Westfield grumbled. "But not when the taste of real sugar is the only damn thing keeping you from sticking a no-filter red in your mouth," he thought. "What the hell are we looking for here?" Corley picked at a manicured fingernail. "I could be closing out cases." "Keep your pants on, Corley," Westfield said, without taking his eyes off the glass shop door at the end of the alley. Above the entrance hung a sign advertising custom artwork by seasoned professionals. Free consultations. "I don't expect you to recognize why we're here," Westfield continued. "You've been on the job 5 whole minutes." Corley glared but said nothing. Alvin Corley. Westfield didn't like the smug little turd, and the feeling was apparently mutual. Everyone in the department knew it. And so, in some misguided, old-school attempt at leveraging a teachable moment, Captain Morehouse had gone out of his way to break up long-standing partnerships, a process that went down like the Hindenburg in flames, just so he could stick Westfield and Corley in the same car. The division captain wasn't a bad guy. Westfield respected him. But he couldn't for the life of him figure out how, amidst a pile of qualified candidates, and with only 2 years of patrol experience, Corley somehow snagged a gig a host of veteran officers wanted and deserved. Something about the whole mess stunk like politics and favors. 2 things Westfield didn't want anything to do with. Westfield's phone dinged. He pulled it from his pocket and glanced at a reminder telling him he had lunch with his old army buddy, Gordon Keno, tomorrow. He swiped the alert away, replaced the phone in his pocket, and turned his attention back to the tattoo shop. Corley released a bloated sigh and held his palm out away from him to inspect his fingernails again. "It's a tattoo shop. Who cares? There's nothing here, Derrick." "Is that so?" Westfield said. "What's got your panties in a twist?" "Let me ask you something, smart guy." Westfield took a sip from a lukewarm cup of bad gas station coffee. Corley leaned back, Oh, I can't wait. Westfield pointed at a nervous man in his early 50s, sporting tennis shoes and a belly that stretched the bottom portion of his polo shirt. The man stumble-stepped as he exited a side street, looked in both directions, and entered through the glass door to the tattoo parlor. That guy right there, Westfield said, as the shop door swung closed behind the man. He got other ink, or is this his first tattoo? Corley blinked, eyeing the front of the shop through the building sheen of mist on the windshield. First one. Yeah? Why's that? Westfield asked. He looked nervous. No, Westfield shook his head. He didn't look nervous. He looked terrified, as in about to rob a bank with everyone watching. Terrified. Corley shifted in his seat. What's your point? How many other people have we watched enter the place since we've been here? Corley shrugged. 9 or so? I don't know. We've been sitting here forever. 11. All of them male, Westfield said, and 8 of them looked nervous as hell, just like that last guy. All first-timers? Or better yet, where are the ladies who want to get inked? Westfield, Corley rolled his eyes. This is an Investigations 101 or the training car. Get to the point. The point is, you know how many tattoo stations there are in that dirty little rat hole? Corley stared at him with a blank expression. 3, Westfield said, with a bench up front which might comfortably accommodate 2 people waiting. Since we've been here, nobody's come out. Where are they? Corley narrowed his eyes. How do you know what the inside of the place looks like? Because I stopped in there last week to see if they'd seen anything, after the guy 2 shops down had his Mustang stolen, Westfield said. The interior is laid out, as I said, plus a guy in a wicker chair towards the back who looks like he might try to stand in my way if I wanted to go back there. Something isn't right. I think they're running girls in there. You've got an active imagination. Corley clicked his tongue and glanced at his watch. But in case you've forgotten, we're working property cases. Give Vice the tip and leave it alone. Westfield's phone buzzed in his left hip pocket. He retrieved it with a grunt, glanced at the screen, swiped open the call, and held the phone to his ear. Janie? Dad, Janie said. The tremor in her voice made Westfield's gut tighten. You okay, honey? Are you crying? Mom's acting crazy again. When are you coming home? Westfield tapped his knuckles on the steering wheel. I'm in the middle of something at work, Janie. What do you mean, acting crazy? She's throwing all your things out at the front door again. The voice of his 14-year-old trembled. She said if you loved us, you wouldn't be working all the time. Westfield lowered the phone from his ear, whispered a curse, then raised the phone back to his ear. Janie, you know that's not true. You know how much I love you. I know. Listen, don't worry about my things, okay, Bug? It's just stuff. But, Dad, it's raining. Westfield blew out a measured breath. It's still just stuff, sweetheart. Avoid her until I get home. If she does anything that scares you, call 911. I'll deal with it when I get there. You're not leaving us again, are you? Janie choked out the question. A flare of emotion swelled in Westfield's chest. He wanted to reach through the phone and wrap his arms around his little girl, protect her from his failing marriage. What sort of father am I if I can't do that? Honey, Westfield spoke through the tremor of emotion in his throat. I never wanted to leave the first time, but it was the best way to keep things peaceful. Corley gave Westfield a smug, sideways glance. But are you going to leave again? Janie asked, voice breaking. I want to stay with you, Dad. Please let me come with you. She scares me when she does this. Don't stress about that right now, Bug. When I get home, I'll get it sorted out.
Who are you talking to? Did I say you could use your phone?
The angry, slurred voice of Westfield's wife rose in the background.
Mom, stop! You're drunk, Janie shouted. Are you talking to that useless piece of trash father of yours?
Alicia, damn it, Westfield started. The sound of a scuffle. The phone wrenched away by force. Westfield winced and held the phone away from his ear.
Mom, give me back my phone,
Janie shouted.
Hey, asshole, is that you?
Alicia shouted into the phone. Alicia, listen to me. Westfield could practically smell the odor of tequila seeping through the phone line. It's fine, okay? Just give Janie her phone back. Please. Leave her out of this.
I want a divorce, you hear me? I deserve better. I deserve a real man.
Westfield pinched his eyes shut and grabbed the bridge of his nose. Can we not do this over the phone in front of Janie? Can you manage that? I'm at work.
I want a divorce,
Alicia barked again.
Fine,
Westfield said. Probably for the best. We'll talk about it later.
And I want everything. You hear me, you son of a bitch? Custody, the house, the cars, my share of your retirement, everything.
Westfield clenched his teeth and glanced at Corley, who seemed to barely contain his amusement. I said we'll discuss it later. Click. Westfield shoved his phone back into his hip pocket and raised a trembling hand to stretch the collar of his shirt farther open. He took another sip of now cold coffee. Problems at home? That's why you like to work late, huh? Corley said. Westfield twisted hard in his seat, his stare fixed on Corley. Are you really going to say that to me? How about mind your own damn business, you presumptuous little ass? Damn, I could use a smoke right now, he thought. Okay, you know what? Corley reached for the door handle. Who cares if I'm in a bad neighborhood? You're wasting my time. I'll walk. Stop. Westfield grabbed Corley's arm. He raised a finger and pointed at the side entrance of the shop. A gray sedan with tinted windows pulled up and the doors opened with choreographed timing. Don't get out, Corley. Wait a second. Corley hissed and pulled his arm away, but kept his seat. A well-built Asian man with a pockmarked face and a square jaw exited the vehicle's passenger side. Westfield squinted to see through the mist-covered windshield. Is that the heel of a submachine gun hanging inside his jacket? He thought. A wiry Asian male exited the driver's side of the sedan, a confident smirk on his squashed face. He stepped around the opposite side of the car and nodded to the big man, who pulled open the rear passenger door. He gave a jerk of his head toward the shop's interior. Squash Face reached in and pulled a scantily clad woman with tangled blonde hair from the rear seat. She might be wearing a miniskirt 2 sizes too small, but that's no grown woman, Westfield thought. He leaned forward to get a better look. She's got to be Janie's age, he whispered. Maybe younger. Squash Face pushed the girl stumbling towards the door, where the big man waved her inside. A second girl, wearing tear-smeared mascara and an empty stare, was then dragged by her wrist from the car and shoved to follow her friend. The men chased the girls inside, and the alley door slammed shut behind them. Westfield felt the muscles of his body tighten. This isn't just a prostitution ring, he said. These are slavers, human traffickers. These bastards kidnap, lure, or extort their way into the lives of the vulnerable and the young, then sell their bodies again and again. Fastest growing criminal enterprise on the planet. The thought gave him a stroke of heartburn that doubled down on his gas. That could be my daughter in there. Okay, maybe you're right, Corley said. Definitely a tip for Vice. Westfield opened the door and got out. Hey, whoa! What are you doing? Corley hissed. I'm going in, Westfield called over his shoulder. then stormed to the rear of the Taurus and popped the trunk. You've been listening to The Slavers, Part 1 by Stu Jones, narrated by the author. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to encourage the creation of future content. Thanks for listening.